So I took my son to see Incredible Hulk, and we had a conversation about superheroes. So, I mean, if you look at my background, like we went heavy into comedics, we talk about history. And when I asked him about the word superhero, he can name everyone that everyone else probably named: Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, all of this stuff. But the thing that wasn't on the forefront of his brain was somebody that looked like him. So initially I got upset, and then I set out on a journey to do something about it. And that's how I got into developing my own comic book series.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to KROSS BARZ, the podcast where we discuss interesting topics with an alternative perspective. I'm your co-host, Big O, and I have with me...
Hey, you got Tanae in the building.
Hey! Now, today we have a special guest. Who is our guest, Ms. Tanae?
All right, it's Mr. Naseed Gifted. Give it up for Mr. Naseed. Give it all that out of PBS Media Studio. He is the man of the hour. So, Mr. Naseed, foremost, thank you for coming on to KROSS BARZ. We appreciate you joining us here. Straight out of the Garden State of New Jersey. I do believe that's where you are, right?
Yes, right. Straight out of Jersey.
Okay, all right. So tell me, like I'm formerly from New Jersey. I don't claim it, you know what I'm saying? Because every time I'm in the lovely state of North Carolina, when you say Jersey, they kind of grab their wallets and the pocketbooks, whatever. I'm like, yeah, I'm from Jersey. I'm like, who? So I just want to know, brother, how's it going for you? How's Jersey treating you? Is it showing support, love? Is the community embracing you? Or are you just like, I'm just going. I'm going and they're going to catch the wave when they catch it?
I mean, Jersey definitely is showing love. I do spend a lot of my time in the city, and jump into other states. So, Brooklyn, I'm definitely over there. So, big up to Brooklyn, big up to Newark, New Jersey, who's been showing me nothing but love and support. And then I got a lot of family in Philly, man. They show us a lot of love. DC.
Okay.
So up and down the East Coast, and then go over to on the West Coast, we got LA and Seattle that's been representing for us and everything too. So we try to make this a worldwide campaign.
Okay, and that sounds awesome, and I'm happy that you are receiving support, because at times it's kind of difficult, to launch any type of entrepreneur type endeavor. Trying to get that initial support so people can, know what you do and who you are. So now, first and foremost, we're talking about where you're from. All right. So what do you do? Let's just put that out there, because we didn't even say it. Now, we may know, but the listeners don't know. So it's like, what is this dude? Who y'all talking to? We're talking to Naseed. So what do you do?
So I got two hats. Well, I got several hats, right? So by day, I'm an educator. I'm an instructional leader at a high school. So in Newark, New Jersey. So that's my day job. At night, I'm a writer, creator, and creative director of entertainment studio called PBS Media. All hailing from Newark, New Jersey. So those are my two hats that I wear, of course, besides being a father, entrepreneur, engineer, who's dove into this space.
Yeah, that was my question is, how do you go from, and I did a little research, how do you go from engineering, NJIT, correct?
That's correct.
So you go from engineering to math teacher, the comic book writer. Like, how do you mesh that sandwich together? How do you do that?
So, I mean, being that I write comics, so, I got an origin story, right? So for me, my origin story kind of starts back in high school where, growing up in the 80s, not born in the 80s, I was born in the 70s, but growing up in the 80s, we had Saturday morning cartoons, right? So was definitely fascinated with that genre. But it was lacking, representation in that medium. So, I love the medium, between the Saturday morning cartoons, martial arts, we outside, we bike ride, we doing all these things growing up as a kid. So I was always interested in technology, science, mathematics, the whole STEM field: science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So that was my interest. I had a unique experience in my sophomore year of high school where I was one of 10 students in Newark to participate in a robotics program where we worked alongside a number of engineers. We went up to Whippany, working with AT&T Bell Labs at the time. And we worked for the first competition. This was like the first year of the first competition. And with that, I actually got a chance to work alongside an engineer and didn't know what I wanted to do at that point. You know, just like any other teenager, not sure what they want to do, be a fireman, lawyer, whatever the case may be, just what you were exposed to, especially coming out the, coming out the hood. And I worked alongside this engineer, and the thing about this engineer that motivated me, inspired me was he looked like me, right? So at that point I said, wow, I can actually be an engineer. I could be an electrical engineer. And then that was pretty much my passion. Because of that whole experience, we went to New Hampshire, where we went to Dean Cummings. He had a airport hangar at his house, where he had the competition and all this stuff. So that, and fast forward, end up winning the Chairman's Award, which is like the NBA championship of robotics. Got a chance to go to the White House. I was in 2020 in a minute, like I was doing all of these things in the newspaper and all this stuff. And that was in my 10th grade. So from that point on, I said, I want to be an engineer. That was, bottom line. That's what I wanted to do. Fast forward, I go to NJIT, New Jersey Institute of Technology. I work alongside a number of individuals, get my bachelor's of science in engineering. But along that journey, I joined two organizations. One was NSBE, which is National Society of Black Engineers. The other thing I did was while I was in NSBE, I used to work alongside, we used to do workshops for students to get them into STEM. So that kind of like set my whole mission, was to inspire the next generation of technology leaders. So that's always been my love, my little passion, my love. And with that, going back real quick to what I did in high school, elementary school with the Saturday morning cartoons. I used to collect comic books. And then when I got to high school, basketball and girls, comic books was done, kind of put that to the side. Still like the stuff, but kind of put that to the side. So I get to college. And, like I said, I'm doing these things. I'm a part of this organization. I'm working with young people. So that was just the inkling of what's, forth to come. I would say foreshadowing was forth to come. I'm working, being one of the first generations of my family going into college and everything. That was definitely, achievement. But, I didn't have the benefits of, what other college students would have as far as a spring break and all this stuff. So I'm working, I'm a thousandaire, I'm making a little bit of change, I'm able to, at 22, 23, I'm able to do things that I never was able to do in my life. Travel, I got a bank account, I'm seeing checks for $2,000 and one thing, and, and stuff like that. So I'm thinking I made it. I done did something with my life. So being I did that, and I'm working like crazy and all this stuff, I start stacking. I just start stacking. And so I got to the point where the market was hot. It was sizzling out there. So I could throw a resume out there, get 5, 6, callbacks, the market was just really hot. And what I decided to do, I said, you know what? I'm gonna go travel the world. So I took my little bit of savings. I started traveling. I went to Senegal. I went to London. I went to Colorado. I just started traveling the world, and I did this, and then I said, when I come back, since the market is so hot, I'll throw a resume out there. I'll get some, that's, of course, when you're young and you ain't got no kids and nothing like that, these are things you're able to do. So that's what I was doing. And while I was on this hiatus, I'm gonna say this hiatus, and I'm doing this world tour, 9/11 happens. And as tragic as it was, and I remember looking, outside my window, I can actually see, the buildings and the smoke from where I was at in Newark, because I remember that day high area. The whole market shrunk, and that same resume that I was throwing out there, kind of wasn't giving me any
Didn't wait for you.
it wasn't doing anything for me at the time. So I'm still kind of traveling, still trying to living off my savings, trying to find in my next opportunity. And the money started drying up. So I'm like, oh man, I got to do something. And what I did was I was like, okay, I'm gonna just substitute teach. So I went to substitute teach. And when I substitute teach, I actually was a permanent sub between my old high school, which was Science High, and Arts High School. I got into a math class. These kids were phenomenal, and they inspired me. And they thought I was really good, because I wasn't one of the teachers, the subs that read the newspaper or whatever. I actually was teaching class. Like my mind wouldn't allow me to be able to do that type of thing. So I felt I had so much information to give that but I actually got in this math class, and I'm actually teaching math to them, and they were receiving it. So they was like, yo, you should be our math teacher. And I was like, I'm doing this engineering thing. I don't think I'm going to do that. So I work along with my high school with the robotics team. I do that. And like I said, those young people, they kind of pushed me, and I was like, you know what, I'll take the praxis and, just see how it go. I failed the praxis the first time.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. And it wasn't because it was hard. It was only because I didn't time it. I ain't take a common exam or something in a long time. So I took it again. I passed it with no problem, and just went on a journey to get my my certification to be a teacher. And at that time, I was helping out with my old high school, and one of the principals saw me and saw how I was working with the young people and offered me a job. I didn't even do an interview. He just offered me a job opportunity, and that's how I got into teaching. And then I went from substitute teacher to math teacher, robotics teacher, robotics coach, basketball coach, department chair, vice principal, then principal.
Everything. So that's where the gifted come from. You just got a little bit of everything going on. I can do
all the way
that.
up the chain.
I can do that.
Yeah, I went all the way up the chain. And, and of course, along with this, and I know this seemed like it's kind of long, but along with this, like I had a family, I had children, especially when I first transitioned into education. And my son and my daughter was the biggest inspiration of how I actually got back into developing a comic book series. So I took my son to see Incredible Hulk, and we had a conversation about superheroes. So, I mean, if you look at my background, like we went heavy into comedics, we talk about history. And when I asked him about the word superhero, he can name everyone that everyone else probably named: Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, all of this stuff. But the thing that wasn't on the forefront of his brain was somebody that looked like him. So initially I got upset, and then I set out on a journey to do something about it. And that's how I got into developing my own comic book series. So in college, we actually had a clothing line called PB Soldier, right? So I took that concept and I made it into a character, a storyline, and did all of those things, and just kept running with it. And a part of that, of course, with my engineering, problem solving, I did some training. I went to NYU, I did some classes. I went to a number of Comic Cons. And when I went to New York Comic Con and ECBOC, which is East Coast Black Age of Comics in Philly, that's when I was like, yo, this is the industry I need to be in. If I could get 1%, just 1% of this market right here, I think we'll be doing really, really well. And then working alongside young people all the time, I was like, this is the story, this is the inspiration of something that they need to be able to see, because the problem or the issue I was having with my son is something that we see throughout, and we get constantly bombarded with, images that's not of our own. And being that language is so powerful.
Good one.
Being that language is so powerful, and to say the word superhero generates an image in your head, right? And when you say that, you should be able to see yourself or someone who looks like you as a superhero or as the hero. So being able to do that paradigm shift and everything was something that I kind of set out on a journey to be able to do. So I know it was a long story of how I got there, but it was a whole lot of different layers of journey to be able to get to this point, man.
I was listening because I had several questions, and I was like, I was just engaged. I was like, okay, all right, you just went there. We don't got to ask about too much about that, but I got some questions, because I'm alternative. Just think about it. All right. So number one, what is your favorite comic book character or cartoon? No, let's go with cartoon first. What's your favorite cartoon?
Favorite cartoon? Man,
Yeah, I'm gonna judge
think,
you if you say the wrong thing.
I mean, you know, back in the day, I mean, I was a big Spider-Man, X-Men fan, so I would say Spider-Man and X-Men, but X-Men more because they dealt with the issues of the time, and you know, and that was really our journey. You know, you put it as babies, but that was really.
Yeah, I got you. You right, because they were talking about, you know, discrimination against mutants, so they was going with that. So I'm gonna go with that a little bit. Because you know I know you was eating cereal out the measuring bowl because you want the bigger bowl. You know, on Saturday, I can see you right there. I can see you. You know what I mean? Watching, you know, Spidey and his amazing friends. I got you. I'm right there with you. You know, I was just nervous you're gonna tell me the Smurfs. So I was gonna say, yo, fan.
Nah, brother. Nah.
Yeah, I was gonna say your fan.
But that wasn't my favorite.
I like the Smurfs, but it was just like.
Smurfs. Yeah, because I watched the Smurfs. That wasn't my favorite.
Because the diversity
and a whole bunch of other stuff.
Yeah. Okay, now another one. Just, you know, try to get you on a comic book tip. All right. So now hit you with the cartoon. You said X-Men. So now comic book, obviously I would think would be X-Men.
Yeah, X-Men was what I used to collect. X-Men and Spider-Man was the two titles. Then Black Panther. Nowadays, I'm not at. I collect a lot of the independent artists. Like.
Okay, I got you. Yeah, I got to put you on to something too.
Stories out there from on the independent creator market. My brother is doing EXO. He's doing Malika, Oculus, the Black series, Tuskegee Airmen. The Black series. I mean, Tuskegee Airs, not Tuskegee Airmen. It's based off of the Tuskegee Airmen, but Tuskegee Airs. There's a number of things. Scarlet Witch. I mean, and like I said, the independent market is definitely where I've been collecting because those are the spaces that I'm in, and I'm looking at these creators. I'm looking at their stories. You know, and Black Sands is, you know, like kind of killing the game as well. Mission, my man Daryl Goza, he's doing a great thing with Mission. So there's a whole lot of things that's out there. But you know, like with that stuff, I'm definitely collecting. I'm boxing it up. I'm putting it to the side. You know, kind of look at it real. I read it once and put it away. You know, those type of things.
Yeah.
From the indie perspective of that, did you find it difficult to go? Did you? If you don't have a major publisher, is it difficult? Or what are the pros and cons for going indie, like doing your thing by yourself?
I mean, well, of course, the pros is you have creative control. You know, you have 100% ownership of, you know, your property. That's the main thing. The second thing is distribution and marketing. So that's all on you as well. So, you know, getting eyes on your project and your, you know, your particular properties, are somewhat challenging. And, you know, like when you're breaking into the market, you're going into venues like New York Comic Con, they have vetted individuals. So when I say they have vetted, when you are looking to purchase exhibitor space, right? If you're not one of those vetted individuals, you don't get the high stakes real estate. And the high stakes real estate will be next to the, you know, the big, you know, like your Marvels, your DCs, your Viz Medias, you know, you want to be kind of in those lanes because that's where a lot of the foot traffic will be. You know, if you're, you know, a small publisher or, you know, or small press or what they call in the artist alley, you know, they have lanes for you, but you don't get that traffic like everyone else because those are different and separate sections and everything. So you could be tucked in the corner. You could be in New York Comic Con and be tucked in the corner and nobody really won't see you, you know, or you could be on the main avenue, you know, where everything is popping and then you just get more eyes on it because the number of eyes you get on there, you know, you probably like 1 out of 10, maybe 1 out of 20, you know, people will actually stop and buy. You know, those type of things. So those are like some of the challenges that you get. But once you get into your pitch and everything else, you know, it's fair game for everyone. You know, the main thing is for you to get people to get their eyes on it and then hit a story. And then social media, you know, social media has definitely been a platform to be able to, you know, help sell the various merch that you have, and let people know your journey. One of the things that that right there, the one thing that we did do was as far as differentiating, I'm heavy into STEM, as you know, so I infused STEM into the comic series and everything. So we were labeled as, like the STEM comic. Didn't want it to be, I'm an educator, but I wanted the story to be phenomenal and with exceptional artwork, but I didn't want the story to be where it's just like, you could use it in an educational setting, but it doesn't seem like it's, like it's teaching. Right. In that sense, it's inspiring, it's exposing, you're getting exposed to a lot of STEM academic vocabulary and everything that made me want to look some things up, some various resources, but just wanted to still kind of focus in on the story and tell a good story.
Okay, question. Now, you came up in a certain time period, so I know about your age. I don't want to put that business out there because you're educated, because kids always try to guess your age when you look young. You know what I'm saying? Black excellence. But did you have any issues when you said you started PB Soldiers? Because during that time period, I believe at Rutgers University, there was these gentlemen that started PNB Nation, and they had these T-shirts. Oh, and it became a $1 billion company almost. So I'm like, wait a minute, if somebody got you at NJIT in Newark, and as we say again, one of the very prestigious universities.
No, we didn't have any problem because we had the clothing line. It was official conscious wear, man. We used to go to Vegas for the magic show and all of those different things. We were coming up, when we were coming up, we were right before academic. We were right before PNB Nation was definitely out there. Academic came like a little bit after us.
So you were there with Echo.
Echo was in full swing at that point.
Okay, so Echo was full swing. Okay.
Yeah, Echo was doing their thing. You had Mazine, you had Omavi, you had a whole bunch of different brands that was making it happen. During that time. So we were trying to capture a little piece of that as well.
Oh, absolutely.
So I mean, the main thing, of course, we didn't lace the right people. We didn't lace the right people. And we had to kind of, but we didn't know. We just had, from NSBE, we had a following.
Yeah.
So from National Society of Black Engineers, we had a following, and we kind of used that to kind of just kind of push forward. It's like, oh, we got something that people were gravitating to, and we just kept expanding on it. We did have a nice little following and everything, but it's like, so we were all hungry college students, right?
Yeah.
So it was probably about 8 or 9 of us. So we hungry, we try to make it happen. We entrepreneurs, we making it happen. And then at the same time, we were all graduating, from college at the time. So we went from this hungry to getting these jobs. And it's like they went in with guns and came out with jobs, and the revolution was over. So that's kind of like how
come out,
fell off.
Come in college, they say we give you 80,000. Well, hold up, fam. I'm gonna get back with y'all. Put the gun down. I'm gonna go ahead and do this
earlier. I was a thousandaire. I thought I was getting paid. I ain't never make this type of money in my whole life. So for me to be able to have like 10,000 in the bank and everything like that, that was unheard of, and then like I said, my friends was like that too. We grew up, single family, 2-parent households, some of them were, but we weren't coming from a wealthy family or anything like that. So, we scrapped for everything. I still to this day thank the cafeteria workers at my college, because I wouldn't eat if the KAFF ladies didn't allow me into the all-you-can-eat.
Shout out to Miss B. Shout out to Miss B.
I ain't gonna throw no names out there. Then what?
Oh, nah.
These individuals saved my life.
Facts.
With the all-you-can-eat, man.
I ain't even have a meal plan for a couple of years.
Who you telling, man?
Look, I snuck in the KAFF. That's why I give a shout out right now.
Relationship that allowed, certain things to happen. Shoot, I mean, we talked I stayed on campus my first year. My second year, I lived in the lounge, the study lounge.
Oh no, you could have got
wow.
that.
But you gotta do what it takes. So what stopped you from being that typical Newark guy on the street, thug selling dope on the corners? Like
Good question.
What was that turning point for you?
How'd you beat
you were
the
right
streets?
in the mix of all of that, right?
Well, two things that helped me beat the streets. One was I played basketball, so they kind of left me alone. I was good.
Hold up. You snuck that in. Hold up, man. Just slow down for a second. Let's just stop there for a second. You said you went to science, right?
Yep, I went to science.
And you said you played basketball.
Yeah.
Now my man went to science, and he claimed that y'all was nice in that time. So my man Raheem,
nice at that time.
Yeah, my man Raheem Burke, if you out there, this man representing Science High, talking about y'all was that. Now you know good and well. Hold up, was y'all able to be?
We were playing St. Anthony's and everybody else back then, for the state championship. I can't say I was on the team doing numbers.
Okay, all right.
The team was doing. That was what the team was doing.
All right, okay, all right. Because you went real quick on that. I was like, whoa. But yeah, y'all know those. Y'all definitely known for being ballers. Just the average North Cat can, do some crazy stuff. So that's all love.
So basketball kept me occupied. So that kind of gave me a pass. So I'm out there on the block with all of these dudes, right? These are all my people. So I'm out there. And it was just like, those different experiences that I had in high school, the one with robotics and everything. And the one thing that I noticed was when I would leave the block and I would come back to the block, my peoples were still there.
Correct.
They didn't move. It was like they was in a time warp,
Right.
And I kept saying,
Arrested Development.
I'm not going to be, out here and not making any forward progress, any forward movement. So that was kind of like the way I was able to kind of push through. And I had goals, I had a plan that I wanted to execute. And then, like mine stayed alike. So even though I'm in the center of Newark, I stayed on campus. I stayed around that environment. I didn't go home. I didn't do all of these other little things and stuff. I mean, I went out. Right. I hung out with college kids. I went to all these different college campuses, but I wasn't back on the block like I usually would be when I was in high school.
Yeah, you was out there.
I hear you. You was out there being fresh. So you was going to King, Uppsala. You was going to those college parlors. You think? Now I'm calling out names. Seton Hall. Yeah, you going to the college party, coming back to the block like, listen, I just saw 12 supermodels give me their number and they fiending for a buck.
Hey, man. It was rough out there because I went to NJIT because of the academics, but and I was at Montclair State, I was at Seton Hall.
That's the
college life.
William Patterson, Willie P, they got him up there.
Man, I tell you, it was rough journey, boy. So I ain't had time to get back to the block. It was so many other things going on.
That's good. That's good.
That whole world was something that was new, and
right.
Like, man, these other people are doing something different. I knew what that was, but I saw something else that was different, and that kind of kept me grounded in that.
And so, a lot of things that you just explained parallel some of the things that I went through as well. Being from New Jersey, Plainfield, Willingboro. Shout out to y'all. I got shipped out. They shipped me out. It was like, go down South Jersey. I was like, yo, what is this? And down there, I used to always say, man, they got a lot of talented people everywhere. But at the same time, go ahead.
Hey, don't you teach math too?
No, I teach social studies. You know me. Listen, I sit here and read everything. For me, like I'm telling you, I got an addictive nature. So like if I get into something, I'll just get into it. So for like 2 years, I got into gangster like novels and stuff. So every hood book in the world, for 2 years, I read everything. And then I said, nope, I get out of there because I start thinking that way. Because like you start absorbing you know, the energy that you see in your consciousness and stuff. So I'm carrying myself. Well, I said, fool, you teaching, 8th grade social studies. You talking like, no, this is not what y'all. So, start looking at more historical stuff. And then the more history you read, you start getting upset. And then I had to do some fiction. Because I'll get there, start reading like, hey, yo, fam, this happened. And you start learning about some of the atrocities and things of that nature. And the cool part is some of it's coming out. I remember a couple of times, man, I asked, like, yo, can you be a contributor to this document? Like, yo, fam, leave me out of it. I just want to maintain. But let's get back to Brother Naseed. Now, went to North, Science High, Arts High, then came back, became substitute, and then worked all the way up to principal. So the only thing left is, I think, Raj then showed y'all the way, principal and then mayor, right? Ain't that the next step? Like, you go all the way, because I want to say he did the same thing.
I worked with him. I worked at Central High School, so that was my principal.
Wait a minute. Now I'm gonna get you in trouble. Now, I'm trying to get you in trouble. Which high school you like the best?
Wait, say it again.
I said it. You heard me.
Don't answer that question.
What high school do you like the best? Which high school do you like the best? You were in science, you went to art, and we worked at Central. You probably worked a couple other ones. You passed too. So let's tell me, which one you like the best?
I mean,
don't choose. Don't choose.
I spent the most time at
no. Yeah. Oh, political. Oh, my bad. My bad. Oh, yeah. Oh, the brother stands. He stands. He said, I spent the most time at this one. I didn't ask that.
I spent the most time there, and
okay.
that's where I grew a lot of my educators' family, from that. That's the base. That's the, that's the home base right there. Currently now I'm back at science. So I'm back at Science High. So
that's full. That's the full.
That's the full. Everything then went full circle.
Okay.
Right.
J to the net. You notice he ain't answered, right?
He answered it. He did. You gotta read between the lines.
He said, I spent the most time there, and I'm like, no, bro, I got to go to work. No.
I do have a question though.
I got a whole bunch, J to the net. I got a whole bunch. Okay, watch this one. Watch this one. Look, right? So when you look at all these comic ones, because this one messed me up because I was at a professional development some years back. I don't, can't say what year because up there I got gray in my beard. So when you start looking at the comics and we say which one, outside of the physical that you're looking at, but which comic book character or cartoon character would you say you most resemble, and I'm not talking about physical, like you can identify with their plight, their trouble, and that's one that you love the most. So for instance, if like for me, I'm gonna give an example, myself, I love the Hulk. The Hulk was my number one, because how he started, mother and father, domestic violence issue. He came up there when he get real angry, he turned into another beast, but he's super smart and intelligent. But, sometimes you got to deal with his anger. So growing up, he was green. I wasn't green. I was broke. So green. But what I'm saying is that I identified with some of the things that the Hulk was going through, and he did. Whereas some people may have, like, say, if you were adopted, be like, okay, Superman, or, I've been hurt a lot, but I bounced back, Wolverine. So which superhero would you say you most can identify with?
Well, the two that I would say identify with would have been Spider-Man and Wolverine. Those were my two characters right there.
Okay.
That I identify with the most. The ones that I aspired to be would be like Black Panther. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
yeah. Or Luke Cage.
Like
okay.
Right there.
Okay. Okay, I got you. So now this one before J Tanae go ahead, because me, I'm scatterbrained and all over the place, and I got DD. I got DD.
We need a special character for him.
Yeah. He did
psychological.
No shiny things. You can't put nothing shiny in front of me. I'm off. Question. Your story sounds a lot like a brother down in Maryland. I followed him for a long time. Because in my head, me and him, we talk all the time. In my head, I'd say in my head. All right. But Aaron Magruder, he started in college.
Aaron Magruder, yeah.
Yeah, he started in college. He was a comic strip. Then it got large, and then he got national syndication, then made a cartoon And I want to say, like, would you ever consider that for your comic book or your animation of maybe going to a Netflix or a Hulu or maybe a streaming service to say, look, I got this animated service, and we know that there's people that's clamoring for this type of entertainment because of what Black Panther did in the theaters, where you had to wait a couple of weeks to maybe go see it. So we know we're hungry for this type of genre and this content. So what I'm asking you is, like, would you ever consider like trying to go into that realm?
So when I first came out with the comic series, the whole journey, the next level of this is to develop an animated series. So instead of calling them issues, they were called episodes, because I wrote them as if they were 30-minute episodes.
3.0.
Yeah, that's a part of everything that we do. So when we came out, it was episode 1.0, 2.0, 2.5, 3.0, 2.5, just kept going like that. And in my mind, I thought of all of the actual serial books as a 30-minute episode, as if, like you watching this on a series. So then the combination of that became this right here, which is the graphic novel, which is 176 pages of the story. Wow. So being able to put that whole thing together and, just being able to create your own world, just create your own entire world of characters, people, individuals who, tie into each other, in some shape, form, or fashion. And I mean, and I know we've been talking about I didn't even say anything about the comic book series. So,
okay. And my next would be, I said,
yeah, go ahead.
My next one would be, in doing that, and I love the Boondocks. Like, that was my favorite show. Yeah. Boondocks and Simpsons. I'm like, those two, I love. I love their satire and how it mimics. But my thought process is, how do you feel about anime? Because so many children are gravitated towards it. Even my children, they love the anime. But I'm torn because I like it, but the Japan anime, I'm like, this is real this is real violent, and I'm this is adults. This ain't for y'all. I know you 12, 13, this is for 18 and above. And truly, I think you need to be 20, to be watching.
Well, I mean,
how you feel about that?
Yeah, part of the misconception is that a lot of people believe that cartoons are for kids. No. In America here,
Cartoon Network, no. Yeah, absolutely.
Bars.
In America here, everyone thought that, I mean, growing up in the 80s, there was a toy associated with whatever series that you were watching. And that's why it was nothing but, it was the business of that, for kids, but, from an anime and the stuff that's coming out now, they have themes, they have stories, it is rich in detail. With the backstories and everything that, it's stuff that's themed for adults. I mean, like, there's a couple of, things that I watch. I watched this series called Psychopaths. They brought back Castlevania, the old Nintendo game, and when you look at that stuff, man, that stuff is graphic. I mean, like you don't want no little kid watching that type of stuff. They cursing, they having sex, they doing all types of stuff, all in the anime.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, you don't see no penetration, but you see them.
I know,
It's
I don't watch that, so that's what I'm like.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's different. It's definitely different.
I can't even get into Dragon Ball Z, so I know I'm.
Yeah, you in the PG version. So my daughter's looking at it, chopped the dude, like he had the sword and chopped him in half, and then I had to fall back because my wife was like, "Listen, don't be the old man in the club. Like, in my day, we ain't do that." And then I said, yo, for real, back in the day, I was a big Voltron fan.
Oh,
so when Voltron bought the flaming sword, he would chop a whole monster in half with the sword. And I was like, okay, he did do that. But it's like,
they had to censor that too, because in Japan, those were actually my people that became those robies or whatever. But when they showed it to us, they made it seem as if they were robots. So
Okay.
that's why it was always like, you know, he did the one slice, you don't really see it, but then you see him blow up that type
Yeah.
because it was that graphic or whatever the case may be.
Wow.
But that was one of, I got a funny story with that. So I was, as wanting to become an engineer, I wanted to create the Voltron lion. That's what I wanted.
Yo, they had the toys. Yeah, you could make Voltron. It cost, you know, back then, it's like, man, $100 was
No,
a lot.
I'm talking about I wanted to make the Voltron lion.
Oh, damn, you are.
Oh,
Like in real life. Like that was
Like,
my journey
wow.
as an engineer. So I had these sketches of what the
You should
the
have
control
done it.
center. Yeah, that was one of the things. And then one of my boys, he was a 5%er. He's like, yeah, man, you're gonna make this, you're gonna make that, and then the government's gonna take it and use it against us. And I was like, oh man, you know what? You're right, brother.
It's like, yo,
Crush my dream. Crush my dream.
It's like, nah.
I want to say, you know what? I never had females to look at in that. Besides She-Ra, which is the cartoon, I don't remember any female black female
Thundercats?
superheroes. I mean, Thundercats, but that's it. But like you said, none of them look like me. Nothing as a female, and to me, it seems comic books are geared to like guys. Like, why is it that all
y'all
the
had
comics
dolls.
seem to
You had
be
dolls.
geared? But we liked cartoons, and
No, y'all didn't.
I would do the comic strip, wasn't it Archie or something like in the actual newspaper?
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I would do but why isn't anything? Why does it seem like it's more like male? It's getting a little better now, but
Now there's a
Now
number
it
of
is.
characters. Yeah, but back then, yeah, it was geared to the young man market. That's what it was geared towards.
But they had Ramona and Beezus. They had all the comic. You had Peppermint Patty. You had so many. I could just name. You had Care Bears. You had a whole cartoon. Straight of bears.
but that was not a
Strawberry
comic book.
shortcake.
That is totally. I'm talking about the thing with the bubbles. And it's like pow, wham, pow, like all of that.
Yeah.
I don't into that. So that brings me to this. Go ahead,
Wanted women to be violent. You wanted women to be violent. That's what you wanted.
Yeah, sometimes we get violent too.
Yeah, but they had censorship around that stuff too. That women could only be portrayed. You know, like they couldn't be fighting. They couldn't be doing all those different things. So that was part of it. That was part of it because
the women were the sexist one. They can walk to them. They could be the one to take them in the room, and they could be the girl in the car.
Even with the cartoons in the 80s, remember they had educational consultants to make sure, because even He-Man and all of the rest of them had to have like a message, tied to it at the end of each show. Even though it was bang bang,
Joe, yeah.
You got to have.
Knowing is half the battle.
Knowing it's half the battle. Hey, it's all about friendship. As we was journeying through the story, he punched him and everything, but he found out that, good friends are hard to find, and, and all these little things, they find a little theme to kind of tie it all together so they can put it up there. But, all of that stuff was really just not even about story. It was an infomercial for the toys. That's what it was. That's what the 80s cartoons were. Now you get more story, you get more depth in the characters and everything. But yeah, as far as the women, they definitely had the characters. They never put them to the forefront, especially in the comic books. They're doing more of it now, and then that's why that's a niche that has been seen in the independent market that a lot of people are bringing. I have, my female character, Jason, we have a whole, series dropping with her, the Rose Who Grew from the Concrete, the book is done, but we still trying to figure out, especially with the pandemic and everything, when we're going to launch it. It was supposed to launch last March, during Women's History Month, but, just gotta kind of revamping things because, excuse me, everyone was kind of, caught up in, in the house and everything like that. And things haven't really opened up. They open now, but it looks like we may be going back in. So we'll see. We'll see, with the numbers going up and everything. But definitely looking to do something in October, with regards to that.
Okay.
All right.
That sounds awesome.
So when you're writing, as I was looking for all the things, I was looking for Black writers, and I did run across some female, Black, comic writers that I didn't even know. There's more than I even thought it even existed. Once I started looking, like what is it, N.K. Jemisin, Vita Ayala. These are people I never heard about, but they are interested in it. They do the writing. So when it comes to the art part of it, how do you choose artists? Because, you know, comics, you got a certain way. How do you choose a artist to do what you want? Is there how do you do that?
So for me, being a writer, and I just had, you know, I was a visual artist. So for the most part. I had an idea of what I was looking for. I just didn't know how to, you know, sketch it out like that. So I would take pictures and I would, you know, and I would do those type of things. So with that, I actually had an audition for my artist, and the artist that I've been working with for the last, what's this, 9 years now. I did an audition. I put an ad up. I had a 1-page script that I had. Generally, when you do a script, you know, like you do panel by panel. I took all of that out. I just gave him a story. I told him what the action was and everything, and I wanted to see what he would put out, or I wanted to see what these individuals would put out. And I mean, he captured it with so much fidelity. The turnaround time was great. And I was like, man, I found my artist, you know. So I did an online audition. And the truth be told, you know, like, and before that, you know, and I'm talking about, I got to this point because I work with high school students. I work with local artists. I work with individuals who were professionals in the field and everything, you know, that's what they do for a living. But I needed someone to kind of capture the look and be reliable, have a nice turnaround time, and then the price point would definitely be, you know, where I can afford it, you know. So I found a very phenomenal artist. His name is Mashindo. You know, anyone look him up. He is a phenomenal. He's like, I hate to compare him, but he's like the Black Picasso of graphic arts. His detail and everything. So I actually met him at ECBAC again, which is East Coast Black Age of Comics. And when I saw his artwork, I was like, man, one day I'm gonna work with this guy. You know, 2 years later, I end up working with him, and he ends up doing my characters. He did all of my character design. So that's how I was able to get a unique design for my characters. And then once I had that, I took that and used that for my audition. You're like, look, here's the story. These are what the characters look like. You know, let me see what you could do. And, you know, and I got my artist from there. And that was pretty much how I did it. And I used the power of the internet. You know, the reach was, the reach was definitely there. You know, find out people that's out there that's hungry, that's looking to work. And then that's how I partnered up with the artists that I had.
Okay. My question, because maybe 2 school years ago, I actually was looking to try to start a comic strip for my students. And 2 particular students were extremely talented as far as their art was concerned. You know, happened to see it. Hey, you just did this. She's like, oh, I just threw this together. And for me, it was I've always seen, you know, not the stereotype, but he always was a boy, either Black or Latino, that I seen that work was so exceptional. But it was a Latino female, one of them. And I was like, wow, you real good. And I tried to pair them 2 up with a young lady. She was real good with her writing, her narration. I said, you know, if you do the dialogue and you draw the picture, I think we can have a great school comic strip and it can grow into something. And then I told him about the story about Aaron McGruder doing it for fun in high school and then maintain it in college and then became, you know, a syndicated show. But if I wanted to do that, how would you go about that? Would I say, no, find someone like you and say, hey, I got some talented people, hey, send them your way? Or it's like, no, they can do it because I wasn't, you know, number one, I'm not I'm not artistic, but I'm an educator. So it's like, I see your talent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I see your talent. And I think that you need to get with this, you know, get with these people. And if you put them in the right situation, y'all can come up with something great. Yeah. Aside from me, you know, aside from me. So how would you go about to like maybe cultivate that?
So
The pandemic stopped everything, so it was like, but I tempted, but it was like,
no, I get it. I get it. So one of the things that, trying to develop that nexus where the now generation meets the next generation is where I look to find this festival. So the Khem Comic Fest or the Khem Fest is something that I'm one of the founders of, who's New Jersey's own Black comic book festival. We actually have our next festival on September 18th and 19th, where we celebrate Black animation, game design, and comic book creators. So, kind of putting the individuals who are now doing it in the same space with individuals who are looking to inspire or aspire to do those type of things. So that was one of the platforms that I created. So, because it became way more than just me being able to, consult and work with individuals who want to do what I'm doing, but being able to put them in touch with others and who are doing it and doing it at a high level too. To be able to, intern, to work with, consult. A lot of people think, especially if you work for a publisher, that like it's a lot of grind work that goes with it. Like it's not like, oh, I'm gonna just draw this one page. Like you gotta be able to put out a page a day. And I'm talking about a completed page. That's especially if we talk about doing serials. So serials will be like your monthlies, right? But if you are doing graphic novels, you're doing a one shot, so you might be doing that, either once every quarter, once every year. That's still a really aggressive schedule to be able to do that as a business. Now if you're doing it as a hobby, something that you're just doing, it's definitely not as constrained as you would think it is. But if this is something that you're doing, as a career path, like you gotta put in the work, I mean, and that's pretty much it. You gotta keep working. And then as you're working, you're putting out stuff, because me being a writer, I used to have to find creative ways to, get the stuff out there without having the artwork, what I'm saying, initially,
right.
So, like being able, but now that I have the artwork and just be able to just put a quick little blurb, the visual piece is what attracts the people. People like to look at visual art. You got to think about the number of images we encounter on a daily basis.
Right.
And then we use that as a form of engagement to be able to see what is that about, from Instagram, from Facebook to Twitter and everything else. And then from there, then you dive deeper, so you want whatever you're into. I mean, if it's comic strips, if there is somebody that's doing it. I always say, seek out those who are doing what you want to do and ask questions. That's what you do. You ask questions,
right.
you and then ask, can they be your mentor, and help you, move along the journey, and learn from their mistakes. One of the things that I did, of course, was, like I asked a lot of questions. I put out some things, and don't be scared to put something out either. So as the engineer in me, I felt it had to be perfect, and then you got to get into a professional level, but you don't have to be perfect, because everyone in here probably has an iPhone, smartphone, or anything else. And the thing that a lot of people don't know is that every month, every 2 months, you get what we call an update. So it does everything that you say is going to do. The phone does everything that you say is going to do. But on the consumer side, they work out the bugs. And because they work out the bugs, they give you the update to be able to correct and fix those problems.
I just have a couple of more questions to ask. Really, it's kind of like history, a little trivia that I learned. So I did learn, okay, so Dwayne McDuffie. You heard of Dwayne?
Yes.
McDuffie. Okay. The way we know Dwayne McDuffie, right? He was the creator of House Party, Bebe's Kids, and all of that. I did not know that he was a former writer, the comic strip writer before he even did that.
Yep. So
for DC Comics.
well, he started off at Milestone. So he was one of the driving forces behind Static Shock, Hardware, and a number of these others who had a partnership with DC Comics.
Okay.
So DC Comics were their distributors. And then of course he did after they did their run with Milestone, he was a writer on the animated Justice League. He was on Justice League. One of the writers on Justice League. So Justice League and Justice League Unlimited. And that's when I actually knew about him, because I researched his writing, and and I used to love the storylines, the depth of the writing and everything. And knew that I was like, man, this brother is doing some phenomenal work.
Right.
Knowing he was a writer. So that's how I got exposed to him. And then you start backtracking and you're seeing all the other stuff in projects that he was a part of. And he was like, man, doing a phenomenal work.
So Khem, I'm sorry. I think I got the names mixed up. That was Reginald Hudlin that was the house party and all that.
Yeah, house party.
Yes, that's what was that. Dwayne McDuffie was the Teen Titans Justice League. So let me clarify that. So you're exactly right. So Reginald Hudlin, exactly, he was house party, and then did that with the Marvel.
Yeah, Reginald Hudlin is the one who got the Black Panther. Him and I forget the priest. I think it's something priest.
Christopher Priest
is the one who got the Black Panther storyline to where it is the one that we've kind of witnessed in 2018. That world of Black Panther, because it wasn't the world that they were depicting when Stan Lee and them kind of created it. That type
right. And then I have another thing. It was about it was actually George Washington's former slave, who initially couldn't read or anything, and then he became this, reader and a novelist. But anyway, his name was E.C. Hold on, let me get my paper. E.C. Stoner, and it says that he was renowned fine artist, and that he was the first, one of the first Black artists to draw comics.
Mm-hmm.
And he was renowned for that, and I had no idea about, but I kind of stumbled across that, and I was like, oh, okay.
As far as comic artists,
and that's a long time ago.
And writers, like I can't even say it was blackface, it was whiteface, because we were ghostwriting a lot of the different prints and everything like that from females.
Say that bars.
They were doing a ton of things, but they had to do it in the background, and they could never take credit for the work that they were doing.
But they actually allowed him back in that part. Like he was, they allowed him. He was so good that they allowed him. But
no, they definitely allowed him, but they won't give him the credit. They wouldn't give him the credit. They allowed him to work.
Cut the check.
I just thought that was really wild when I ran across it. That was pretty cool. Cool.
So I got some quick fire questions. You got to choose one or the other, or you can say neither.
Okay.
I don't want you to say both. All right, one or the other, or neither. I don't want you to say both. Got to pick one. If you just say they both whack, then you can say neither. All right. So, all right. DC or Marvel?
Marvel.
Okay. Simpsons or Boondocks?
Oh, Boondocks. I like Boondocks.
Okay. All right. Transformers or Voltron?
Ooh.
Transformers. Oh, I'm sorry, you're not asking me. Okay.
Oh.
I like Transformers.
I got some deep origins. Even though I watched Transformers, I had to go with Voltron. Voltron was like my staple. That was, I ate up Voltron all day, every day.
I got
I
you.
still watch Transformers stuff, but Voltron was my thing.
Okay. Heathcliff or Garfield?
Heathcliff.
Heathcliff? Okay.
Yeah, Heathcliff.
Heathcliff was
all right. Yeah, he clearly was definitely gangster. Yeah, them cats from the alley. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, okay.
You get caught in the alley, you might get some balls.
Yeah. The dogs is in trouble. The dogs is in trouble. Okay. Bugs Bunny and Friends or Mickey Mouse and the Gang?
I would say Bugs Bunny. I really wasn't into the Mickey Mouse and that one.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So I know I threw some ones, some light ones in there, but pretty much they all to me it was difficult because you said growing up watching cartoons and that was our era. You know what I mean? Like I could tell you the lineup. I used to get there, he on first, second up for half an hour. That's when Voltron used to come on, and then right after Voltron, the Thundercats would come on. And my friends used to talk about He-Man. I was like, man, listen, y'all whack. You got to watch Thundercats. Thundercats.
Star Wars or the other one.
What's the other one?
Return of the Jedi. Star Trek. Star Wars or Star Trek?
I would say Star Wars. I was a Star Wars fan more than Star Trek.
Okay.
All right. That was cool. So where can we find your products? Where can we get PB Soldier? Where can we get any of the books? Send us. Where can we go? Where are you on social media?
Yes. So on social media, you could get everything at PBS Media Studios. So PBS Media Studios, everything is there. That's PBS MEDIA Studios. So you can reach us there. But we also have the PB Soldier handle that's on Instagram as well as on Twitter. And then I'm available at Instagram or on Facebook as Naseed Gifted or Director Gifted. That's my handle.
Okay.
All right. Can we get your stuff on Amazon or can we purchase it or do we go to the website and get all of it?
Yeah, you go to the website and you have everything available. I used to have everything on Amazon, but those were just the individual issues. Right now we are doing direct to market from our website with the graphic novel series.
Yeah, nobody else need to eat off you. I got you. Scrape the plate. Scrape the plate.
I did that before, and I was
yeah. Scrape. That's what I call it. Scrape the plate. Eat all your money. Now, my question with the PBS, you don't have issues with the public broadcast system, like because of the initials or anything?
No, we don't, because PBS, is short for Focused Black Star Media. So Black Star.
Oh, you got the DBA. Got you. All right.
So it's just PBS Media Studios for short.
Got you. Yo, just connect them because you can go to PBS. They got some, some stuff, and you might say, "Yo, let me just put it on." Because I learning about podcasting, public access television, radio. I learned it was eye opening for me. Still knowing some of these things. I always did that in the back pocket, I could go into this field over here because I know some things that can make people money. You know what
Absolutely.
I mean? But a know-how. Because did you know Barney started on public access?
Yes, that's right.
And Barney.
$1 billion industry.
And what they did was they bicycled it. And bicycle on public access, meaning that they just went to a couple of other ones. So for instance, let's say if we were in New Jersey, you would go to Nork, Comcast, or whatever cable station and pick a time that pretty much available. So like say Tuesday at 10 o'clock. And then you would go to Roselle, a little further out, then go to Jersey City, then go to Plainfield, then go to North Brunswick and put them on because they gotta reach that whole demographic from Central to North Jersey. And you put them on at the same time through a public access channel, and they call that bicycling. And what happens is it'll look like you have a network. So just imagine you putting on this free show, and you just go all the way stretched to Atlantic City. You be like 10 o'clock on Tuesday, Barney comes on. You thinking yo, they got a real show. No, it's a real show. However, they did it for free instead of going to a network where they're going to, basically rape you for your stuff. But I know, I see you, but it's free. It's for you.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that because I thought then it got picked up by Nickelodeon or something, right?
Correct. That's just like Electric Company. Back in the day, Electric Company and all that. Mm-hmm. So what happens is that's when they picked it up because now you got a fully packaged show, and they start looking at it yo, you got a nice audience, because really it's about your audience. If you could come and say, yo, I got this market share, I have this audience, yo, they gravitated. If you can blow it up, that's why when you were talking about the gentleman that had a deal with I think DC and Marvel, he was writing for him, but he basically had a distribution deal.
Yeah.
And he was banking on himself to say, okay, if more people went to it, I'm gonna get a real big check like Master P did on some music stuff. But if it's like, no, I'm gonna write for you guys and I'm gonna just eat maybe a crumb here or there because I created for DC, and then DC is gonna put everything behind it. So it's more like that's a 360 deal versus a distribution deal. So now for me, my know-how, I was just like, yo, I bet you people don't, man, you know how crazy it is. And then start thinking on the comic strips, I was like, yo, why don't you just take an ad and put your comic as an ad so you can put them in all magazines? So it was like different creative ideas and looking at it and saying, man, it's all these opportunities digitally, but it's like, okay, how would this work for different people and what they do? So it's just like, you got a good product, people are gonna come to you.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But with that said, you know, because we could be here all day talking about stuff. And give a shout out to Alex One. He has a graphic novel as well. Want to, you know, put y'all two together because one of my business partners, that's his brother, and I bought two of them, his graphic novels, and it's, you know, you probably seen it. So I was like, man, this is awesome. You know what I mean? So I think y'all like have a good connection because, you know, the writing may be similar, but I think he may be a little radical, I would say. You know, because you know, some is like, yo, yours is PG-13, this one is like NC-17. You know, so it's like, but at the same time, it's for a good, you know, the purpose is good and the ideas are good. So that's why it's like, yeah, I need to connect with some way. But you know, people.
That's what we do. That's cross.
All right. So down, J to the Nay. All right, yes, Mr. Gifted. I love the name. Because I was just like, yo, is that his real name? But I was like, yo, fam, go with it. You know what I mean? Go with it. Right. He said, Naseed Gifted. I make my, I'd have put N-I-G, Naseed is gifted. Just put an I in that. Like, yeah, it's like, okay, that's love right there. But, you know, stay good, stay great. You know, I'm happy that you know what I'm saying, you about to blow up. No, excuse me, you already blew up. It's just that now more people are becoming aware and also information. Thank you for giving us your time, effort, and your energy. J to the Nay, you want to take us out?
Yeah, absolutely. Once again,
man, for having me. Thank you, guys.
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Definitely appreciate it. KROSS BARZ, you know, the big
in the building.
J to the Nay, definitely appreciate it, man. I'll definitely appreciate it. So,
all right. Make sure y'all continue to tune in to KROSS BARZ. Tune into KROSS BARZ, KROSS BARZ. We'll see you soon.
Peace.
Peace.